kind of share what your company does for companies to be more efficient and to give a better experience and grow their revenue.
Yeah. So we do a couple of things. So we've got a couple of big buckets. So the first big bucket is taking a company that's on their existing IT infrastructure on-prem, so in their office, in a data center, in a colo somewhere, and moving them up to the cloud. And that could either be literally just picking up from a virtual machine on site and moving to another virtual machine in the cloud, or we can help them through the process of modernizing that and what I like to call cloudifying that stuff, basically moving to platform as a service.
Right.
So where there isn't the worry of managing Windows, managing Linux. All we do is worry about managing the application that's out there. So that's part of that process. So that's kind of that first bucket. And that can help save the company money over time, because hosting servers is not cheap.
Yeah.
Like, it costs a bunch of money in power, in air conditioning, and just employee time to manage that equipment and have that equipment there. And then the second half of that is performance tuning in databases that we do. So databases are the thing behind all the applications that host the information, that hold the information. So easiest example I have is you go to Amazon, you search for a product or search for something, and it shows you a list of matching products. So all that information is held in databases on the back end. So we make those faster. So the way that we help companies, and the thing that companies care about the most is money, and time is money.
Yes.
So the example I like to give is, if you're a customer service rep and you're handling customer service calls and you type in the customer's information and click search, and it takes 5 seconds for the app to pop up the customer's information. That's great. But that's a long time. So especially when you start multiplying that out by how many calls they're taking and how many employees you have times the entire year, now suddenly you're at a very large number. So if we say 5 seconds per call, customer takes 40 calls in a day. That's what? 200 seconds. Times however many customer service reps you have, working round the clock. So say we've got 100, keep the math easy. So we got 100 employees, 200 seconds per employee per day, times 100 employees, that's 20,000 seconds. Now times 365 days in a year. We'll do 300 because we like to keep the math easy.
Yeah,
so 20,000 seconds times 3, that's 60,000. Add a couple of zeros. So suddenly we're at 30,000, 300,000, 3 million seconds a year. Divide that out by, get it down to a reasonable thing we can work off, which is minutes and hours. So 300,000 divided by 60, we'll call it divided by 100. Again, make the math easy. So that's 30,000 minutes. So divide that into hours. That's a lot of hours. Now multiply that times how much you pay them.
Right.
Now suddenly that's actual dollars. That's like a lot of dollars. IT folks are expensive. This should not be a shock to anybody. IT folks cost money. But how much is it going to cost to make that query go faster?
Right.
And if I can fix that one query to knock that down from 5 seconds to half a second, how much money am I going to save the company over the course of 12 months? 100 grand? The 10 grand or 20 grand that costs to fix that one query now is suddenly worth it. Suddenly it's not a big deal. Now on top of that, we have another cost to the company. And I wrote about this in Inc. magazine a few months ago now. If you lose focus on what you're working on, it takes time to get that focus back. You have 2 to 2.5 seconds before the employee or for a person looking at the thing is no longer thinking about the thing. So if the screen takes 5 seconds to pop up, they're no longer thinking about that. They're off thinking about something else, not the task in front of them. it can take up to half an hour to get you back on task. Well, if you've got a 10-minute phone call, that's less than half an hour. They're now not thinking about that. And it's going to be a lot harder for them to get back on task, get back to what they're doing. It's going to be a lot harder and a lot longer of a time for them to solve the customer's problem. They can then take less customer calls throughout the day.
Denny, I think that's even more important in this day and time when attention span seems to be getting shorter and shorter.
It does. Yeah. The average attention span is getting shorter and shorter thanks to TikTok videos and I mean, go back to MTV, back when they actually used to play music videos.
Right.
And it's, attention spans started getting shorter and shorter and shorter. And they're not getting any longer. So we need to be able to think about that and handle that and figure out how to deal with that.
What do you think happens to the companies that aren't paying attention to these types of things? You said you wrote an article about this. Are you surprised at the awareness? Is there a lack of awareness, or do you think there's just not enough information accessible because we're not talking about the big corporations here. Let's talk about the smaller guys, the small business owners. Like, what prevents them from taking these measures to be more competitive in their spaces? Is it mainly the cost, or is it the lack of knowledge?
Some of it is upfront cost.
Okay.
Because again, these are IT systems, and IT folks aren't cheap. Part of it is, at least for a lot of small companies, they don't own the systems. They don't manage the systems. They buy off-the-shelf products. They're using software as a service solutions. So these aren't things that they can fix.
Right.
So they may need to go to their provider and go, hey, this is taking too long. Make this faster. Hire somebody to make this faster. And then some of it is just lack of exposure to the fact that this is a thing. This isn't typically something business folks worry about.
If you enjoyed what you saw, like, share, comment, and forward to someone that this will bring value to. Thank you so much for all the support. We appreciate it.